Welcome back to our middle-aged game on Jotunheim. This is turn 31 of the Hypnotic Specter game series. We called our shot a little bit last turn, and oh man, we were way off. I specifically said that Machaka was not in a position to declare war on us. He had alluded to the fact that he was going to march another army back up to Vanheim and finish the siege. I guess that he was bluffing a little bit, and now he has declared war on us. So we had two messages, one from Nabaa and one from Machaka. Nabaa has sent us a message. Now we were in a non-aggression pact, a binding non-aggression pact with Nabaa, and they have hereby declared war upon our unholy nation, triggering a three-turn countdown. Machaka has also declared war upon our unholy nation. Now, we had an informal one-turn warning non-aggression pact, so that means anything that happens from here on out is fair game. So I'm taking the opportunity to issue some attack commands this turn and make sure that he has to deal with some threats on his border. We also claim the Throne of Life. We cast Summon Colossus, which we're just doing on repeat at this point. We have cast Haruspex. We found two sites. One was pretty interesting, the other was pretty mediocre. Veil of Healing Herbs allows recruitment of adventurers, notably a Nature Mage level 2. We do need Nature Mages for recruiting um, Garm, our faction sacred. So this could be good. It also gives us a supply bonus and their healer 1. So that's pretty good. If we didn't already have recuperation on our sacreds, I would say like this is a pretty sweet unit. I'm not entirely sure what we would use them for, but we're already kind of stretched a little thin with lots of options for good mages. We've been finding good sites, so and then the other Haruspex found Grove of the Evergreen, which is simply a 1 gem income. So, all right, let's see. There was nothing of consequence in the battles. We can watch some of the battles, but really it's a lot of cleanup of Nazca, and then taking of neutral provinces that were just kind of there. Um, you can see all of this pretty again, the Lobo guards attacked a province and lost a PD, where we had like 15 PD. So at this point, we're pretty good with Nazca. Um, Unexpected events, extra gold, some people left the sinks. We discovered a scout in making its way through our province, which is good to see that my opponent took, some of that advice to heart, which was, hey, like if you find a scouting province, like you should have that on set to repeat, so that you get full coverage of your opponent's territory. So, um, other than that, let's cover that in a second. We had two pieces of infrastructure completed. We completed the giant castle in Anidra. That is the final stage of closing out Anidra. So only took 31 turns to get three giant castles, but we're good there. We finished off the castle in Nazca that cannot be upgraded anymore. And then last but not least, we breached the entrance to Farseer Mountains and Olitha. So we don't now, we cannot wait any longer. So we're going to breach and storm those forts, regardless of how many units we have there. I think we have enough in both. It hasn't been an issue so far, so we're not going to make a big deal about it. We're going to just go for it, storm both forts, even if we have some other raiding parties out taking territory. We're going to go over all of that here in just a second. We also had a famous hero. So we have now 4 heroes in the Hall of Fame, which is pretty sweet. So here we are on Jotunheim. We've got a lot of complex move orders. I think we'll spend the time focusing on kind of where we're repositioning troops and what we're doing this turn. I do have my champion thugging guy here, Rig. He's the big Chongus. we're going to keep him here site searching one more turn to get some additional units, but also see kind of how Machaka moves about the map, and then see what Nabaa has on their border, um, and then make a decision about where to move him depending on how this progresses. We might move them into position in near Nabaa. Okay, as far as Machaka goes, because gloves are off at this point, again, I was not expecting that to happen. I assumed that he would be interested in finishing off the siege in Mannheim. Well, let me just start with what I think his objective is at this point. I made a comment to him. I said, hey, you are within 2 hops of every single throne in the game. Or, excuse me, 2 hops of 4 out of 5 of the thrones in the game. And uh, of that, you should pretty easily be able to take at least 2, if not 3, of the thrones. And I think what went through his head when he saw that was, hey, you took glistening wood, um, and you kind of did the work for me, so now I'm going to attack into glistening wood. And I have kind of an interesting dilemma here because I can't really now commit to building a fort here. That would just take too long if he decides to move his 150 unit force through Windswept Desert or Roka and Forbidden Forest. Um, he could easily just take this from me while I'm building that. That's 1,000 gold out the door. I think we already lost a temple. I want to say we built a temple in Glistening Woods. So this is probably the biggest concern for me and question was like what to do with the units in Glistening Wood. I ultimately decided just to move these folks out to Rusty Badlands. Um, we're going to see what Machaka does next turn. I think he's anticipating that I may move from Glistening Woods to take Windswept Desert, but I actually have no interest in taking that, seeing that it's a flooded wasteland. It can't be worth anything at this point. So I'm not going to be doing anything with Windswept Desert. I do also notice he has a couple of these Shamblers, but we know that Machaka has figured out some spells to move across water. So the 9,000 IQ play that I wonder if he was trying to get me to commit to is like, oh, I'm going to overextend and take Windswept Desert, and maybe he has some amulets or water breathing spells that allows him to move his force directly into Windswept Desert and then Glistening Woods. So, if you can't tell, I'm pretty laser focused on the thought that Machaka is going to try to steal the throne in Glistening Woods from me rather than focus on the south, move through Ironport, take Troll Lands. I do think he's also eyeing Linshire and Gaeta. Um, so we're gonna kind of anticipate that. I did a PD dump in Gaeta to not a PD dump, I bumped it up to 21. The income from these provinces is pretty good, and I don't really want to lose that. I kind of want to bait these out. My guess is that he's going to take Linshire this turn, which is fine, but I'm also hoping that we can kind of uh, bait him into maybe attacking with both of these into Gaeta. I think I'll probably move these Minotaurs into Linshire and these guys into Gaeta, and possibly the Barbarians down here. Um, so yeah, at this point, my thought is let's get these guys into Gaeta. I still don't want to commit to Troll Land, especially now. I want to see what he does next turn. My goal is really to see what he does with this force, and then wherever he moves this force, I'm going to do an equal force push on the opposite side. And that will make him kind of regret moving his units in one direction and constantly force him to either double back or spend, commit his forces in different directions, split off his force. So I don't want to allow him to take a doom stack. Um, Another way that we're kind of forcing him to do that is we're going to take some raiding parties. From Kratos, we are going to move into Forbidden Forest. I actually think that Forbidden Forest is going to be crucial here. At one point, I wanted to take Forbidden Forest and set up a fortress there, because this is a choke point from Machaca unless he has good water, water traversal from Machaca. So I don't know. Either way, we're going to take Forbidden Forest. We're also going to move this force into Timeless Waste. Instead of taking Pepper Plain, my thought here is maybe he takes this force with Pepper Plain, he moves it into Feral Wood. Either way, the reason that we're going to Timeless Waste is that then next turn leaves us in a position to threaten Jome, which has a temple in it. So I always like threatening people's infrastructure, and the fact that he is just kind of a naked temple hanging out in Jome is interesting. Um, so yeah, we're moving these folks into Feral Woods. We've dumped PD in Feral Woods. We've got 21 PD. We've got some Sacreds moving in here, and then we've got the sieges in Olitha being reinforced by the small force from Bulwark. Uh, and then we've got Farseer Mountain. So ironically, Shin has been the quietest in all of this. Totally forgot. Machaca versus Shin. Um, I noticed that on turn resolution, Shin took Balcoria and Eucrema. So now Machaca is locked into a war with Shin and myself. And I think that he's going to be regretting picking the fight with me and then simultaneously losing territory to Shin in the north. So it kind of worked itself out. We had a little bit of bad luck here and there, but yeah, that's really not going to work out well for him. He's going to lose this swamp. So we'll see what he does next turn. I'm curious what he has underground. I haven't looked and scouted out the underground at all. But we should be in a good spot. Fort's Breach. I think that's it for the night. Signing off. I will catch you tomorrow when I'm better rested. And let me know if you have any thoughts, comments, if in my delirious state I completely missed something, and hoping for good turn resolution. But I think we're pretty well wrapped up with Nazca. Um, I think it's an onward to a short game victory. Turn 31. If I called my shot right now, I would say this game will go no longer than turn 45. I think it's safe to say this game could end by turn 42. All right, we will get into the war with Nabah. We have tomorrow night. We'll get into the war with Nabah. Um, we've got 3 turns remaining on the non-aggression pact timer, so we're good. Signing off for the night. Have a good one, and take it easy.